Welcome to History Bite. Today, we'll be discussing what I consider to be a rather interesting topic, and that is the countries that the British Empire never managed to invade. So let's get right into it, shall we? As many people know, the British Empire was one of the largest to ever exist, spanning almost the entire world. They controlled and/or had footholds from Asia to Africa and almost everywhere in between. Their influence can be seen in a lot of the countries they controlled too. Take India, for example. It can be seen in everything from the architecture to the language, with up to 10% of its population speaking English, and it's a country that still, to this day, has strong relations with Britain. So, their conquests were very successful, but there were a few elusive countries that managed to escape being a part of the empire. 22 to be exact. To put that in perspective, that's 22 countries out of 195 in the entire world. Which begs the question, if the empire was so effective, why didn't these 22 countries get invaded? Well, let's take a look at that. Firstly, what were the countries that evaded capture? Let's start with the Americas. Only 3 remained free there, and those were Guatemala, Bolivia, and Paraguay. In Africa, there was Mali, Ivory Coast, Central African Republic, Burundi, Republic of Congo, and Chad. In the Pacific, it was only the Marshall Islands. In Asia, there was Uzbekistan, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. And finally, we get to Europe. And this is where it gets most interesting, because you would think, since Europe is the closest, that they would be able to capture all those countries more easily. Well, here we had Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Andorra, Vatican City, Monaco, Belarus, and Sweden. While we are discussing this, it must be noted that the criteria for invading can be quite varied, and depending on the person you ask, some people might consider the empire to have invaded even less countries than what I listed here. It all depends on the actual events that occurred in each individual country. For example, some might consider British troops landing or fighting in a country to count, while others might not include that if they were fighting in the country to aid the country defensively. But for the 22 we know for sure, unfortunately it can be hard to tell exactly why each country managed to get away. For example, the Vatican City. It's an extremely small and religious place that would hold no real tactical or significant value, and on top of this may turn some of their own or the population of the countries they controlled against them if they were to invade a place that was religiously sacred to them. As for other countries like Sweden, it's again unclear, but it is surmised that they had good relations for the most part, but again it could also be down to other factors, such as having a military or tactical advantage, or the British Empire just not being in a good enough position to invade in terms of resources they had at the time. Thank you for watching today's video. If you want to hear more bites of history, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a new upload.